Alright, let's do some math. So today we're going to be dividing decimals. It's really nothing crazy dividing decimals. It's just like normal division. You just have to be careful where you're putting your decimal point in your problem. So don't be overwhelmed. So flip open your textbook to page 53. And let's talk through some of this. So page 53. Barry poured 9/10 of a liter of water equally into 3 beakers. How much water was there in each beaker? So here, here we have 9/10. So 10/10, right, would be 1 whole liter. We don't have 1 whole liter, we just have 9/10. And he poured that equally into 3 jars, other beakers. So then you can see, right, in each one of these, there are 3/10. It was equal. We could divide it up equally into 3 jars, 3 beakers. So there are 3/10 of water in each of these 3 beakers. Now look, this is the same problem, 9/10 divided by 3, down at the bottom, but here they set it up a little differently. So let's look at our little discs here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tenths. Perfect. This splits it into 3. So that's like dividing it by 3. And we can see that there are 3/10 once we divide it by 3. Notice too, they also made a bar diagram showing that they could divide it by 3. But then look, so here's where we get to our actual problem, and I'm going to write that out. So you write it just like a normal division problem. We have 9/10, and we're dividing 9/10 by 3. So I set it up like a normal division problem. 9/10 divided by 3. First things first, I'm going to bring my decimal point. I'll draw a little arrow. Actually, I'm going to draw it in red so you see what I'm doing. Okay. First thing, before I even start dividing so that I don't get confused, is bring my decimal point right up to the top and put it right where my answer is going to go, right here, so that I know that however many times 3 goes into 0, that number will be on the, what is that to you? Left and right is hard. On the left side of the decimal. And then however many times 3 goes into 9 will be on the right side of the decimal. Yes. So how many times does 3 go into 0? Well, it goes in 0 times. How many times does 3 go into 9? Right? So here 3 goes into 0 0 times. I have my 0 in my ones place now. 3 times 0 is 0. Subtract. Then after that I bring down my 9. How many times does 3 go into 9? 3 times, right? So that's going to go on the right side of my decimal. And since 3 times 3 is 9 and it will come out to be 0, that's the end of my problem. So my answer is 0.3. Okay, we'll do some more for sure. Here's my eraser. So now let's look at page 54. 1A says divide 6/10 by 2. 6/10 by 2. Here it again sets up place value discs, right? So look at that little, sorry, I'm looking for something. Look at the little picture. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/10. Once it's divided by 2. We can do that. So here you can already kind of guess how many tenths, what our answer is going to be in tenths, just by looking at the picture. But I'm going to write out our problem. So here we have 6/10 divided by 2. So I'm setting up my problem. First thing, I'm going to move my decimal right up. 2 goes into 0 0 times. Bring down my 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. So my answer is 3/10. So you do your division just like normal, but it's just making sure you move your decimal place right up top. So now let's look at B. This time we have 6/100ths. 6/100ths divided by 2. So I'm going to write out my problem. Okay, I write out my problem. I'm going to bring my decimal point up. First thing. I just move it straight up. So now 2 goes into 0 0 times. 2 goes into 0 again 0 times. Bring down my 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Yeah. 6. So my answer this time is 3/100ths, not 3/10ths. 3/100ths because 2 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 2 is 0. Subtract. Bring down my next 0. Of course, it goes in 0 times again. Bring down 6/100ths. It goes into 6/100ths 3 times. And I don't have anything left over. Okay. So, pretty simple. If it's confusing, I'm sure if you talk through it with a parent, it probably won't be. So here in 2A, we have 1.8 divided by 3. First, let's talk through the picture. So, what this little chickadee is, I was going to call her Chica. Chica means girl in Spanish. What this little chica is thinking over on page 54, she made 1.8 into 18/10ths, right? And she can do that, right? Because we have, with 1.8, we have 1 whole and 8/10ths. And we're trying to divide it by 3. Well, she, I guess, realized if she could make 1.8 into 18/10ths by trading her 1 in her ones place into 10/10ths, thereby giving her 18/10ths, she must have known 3 is a factor of 18. I can divide 3 by 18 and get an answer. So she must have known that and seen that, and so she went ahead and thought of, instead of 1.8, of 18/10ths, and then divided by 3, and so 18 divided by 3 is 6, and so she knew, oh, I have 6/10ths. That's the answer. Now, that wouldn't be my first thought, because again, I just don't love doing things in my brain. So instead of trading my 1 into 10/10ths, I would just set up the problem and write it out. But it's probably good practice to know, oh, 1.8, that looks a lot like 18. If I trade my 1 in for 10/10ths, which you can see that drawn out under our girl, the trading of 1 into 10/10ths, then I'll have 18/10ths, and I can divide that easily by 3. It's a good practice if you notice it and see it. I like to write it out, personally. So I've written out 1.8 divided by 3. First thing first, I'm going to bring that decimal point up to my answer line and then start to divide. So 3 goes into 1 0 times. 1 minus 0. So here that happens again, right? In our division, we can see how we trade, because 3 goes into 1 0 times. So I'm not gonna have any 1s. And then 1 minus 0 is 1. Bring down my 8. Now I have 18/10ths. There it is. There's my 18/10. That trading happens whether we know about it or not. Or renaming, trading, renaming, same thing. But here it is. So again, I like to write it out, but that's what's happening. So now the question is, how many times does 3 go into 18? 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So my answer is 6/10. Okay. Ooh. Now that same thing happens again on page 55. Up at the top, this time there are, so we have 0.18 divided by 3. Now you could look at that and say, oh, there's 1/10 and 3/100ths, or you could look at it as 18/100ths. So here again in that little chart, you see where your 1/10 is being renamed into 10/100ths. So you have 18/100ths. So 18 divided by 3 again is 6, but now we're looking at hundredths and not tenths. So your answer would be 6/100ths. You can always just write that out though. So let's write it out. Okay. So I have 18/100ths divided by 3. 3 goes into 0 0 times. My 1, 3 goes into 1 0 times. Bring down my 8. 3 goes into 18 6 times. So my answer is 6/10. Okay, now let's skip ourselves down. Let's just start on number 6. So this, I want you to work out the problem on your side, either on a piece of paper or somewhere, and then we'll compare answers. I'll work it out over here. So if you can do it in your brain, great. If not, that's fine. I too do not like doing things in my brain. Well, not math, at least. So let's look at A. We have 9/10 or 90/100ths divided by 3. You do it on your side, I'll do it on my side. Pause me if you need to. And let's see if you get the same answer as me. Okay, pause if you need. Okay, I got 3/10 or 30/100ths. And that's how I got it by dividing. Okay, let's do another one together. 6B. $2.40 divided by 8. Okay, I got the same answer. 3/10. So 8 goes into 2 0 times. 0 times 0, or 0 times 8 is 0. Subtract 24. 8 goes into 24 3 times. Comes out to be 0. So the answer is 30 cents. And finally, let's do C together, and then I'll set you loose on workbook exercise 34. $5.40 divided by 9. Again, if you can do it in your head, great. If not, that's okay. All right, pause me if you need to. I'm going to flip it. Okay, it's 60 cents. 9 goes into 5 0 times. 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down your 4. 9 goes into 54 6 times. There's nothing left over. So 60 cents or 6/10. All right. Practice some more if you need to with a parent and do workbook exercises.